Not only are boomwhackers a super fun instrument to play, but they're also very easy to teach. In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to show you exactly why you want these instruments for your music class. 3, 2, 1, go. Boomwhackers are incredibly durable instruments. They are hard to break or even damage. Also, they require very little playing technique, which you can't say about most other instruments. These are great for pre-readers, even who don't know how to read either basic rhythms or pitches yet, because they can simply rely on looking at the color of their boomwhacker. Also, they do a really good job of helping to teach the music alphabet. Boomwhackers help demonstrate the science of sound and pitch. Also, they are very budget-friendly, not too expensive for an entire class set. Last but not least, it is very rewarding to be able to pick up an instrument and start playing a song during your very first lesson. I challenge you to name me one other instrument that will take you right from playing one pitch to a full chord. Now, if you listen to that and you're feeling totally convinced that you want to purchase your own set of boomwhackers, check out the video description below where I'm putting a couple of different links of places that you can find them online, or be sure to check out your local music store. But the video is not done, because purchasing boomwhackers is only step one. You need to know what to actually do with them when they show up on your doorstep. So first, let's talk about what you are not going to do with your new set of boomwhackers. You are not going to immediately take them and start putting them in the hands of small children without giving them any instructions. Because if you work with kids in any capacity, you can imagine what chaos is going to happen when you put shiny, colorful plastic swords in their tiny hands. Instead, I'm going to demonstrate for you exactly step by step how I introduce these boomwhacker instruments for the first time. It doesn't matter if I'm teaching my own kids at home or little kids or big kids, my process always remains the same. First, I will have a discussion with the students about how these instruments are played and how they can produce different sounds. Now, remember what I said a minute ago. All this is taking place before they actually put a single finger on the boomwhackers, because if I really want them to listen for my instructions, I have zero chance of that happening if they're already sitting here fidgeting and playing different sounds. Okay, so I've chosen here 3 different boomwhackers to play, and I'm going to demonstrate these for the kids. Listen to the red one and the sound it makes. Now listen to the green. Now listen to the purple. Did you hear any difference in the sounds that they made? Hopefully you're going to lead them to the answer that this one made a lower, deeper pitch sound, this one made kind of a medium, a little bit higher sound, and this one made the highest sounding pitch. Next, I'm going to follow that up with a question about why these different boomwhackers produce different pitches. So is it because they were different colored instruments? Is it because they have different letter names? Or could it possibly be the size that is affecting the different pitches we hear? So this is a great opportunity to make a connection with other instruments that the students have either seen or heard before. For example, if they know what a xylophone looks like, ask them the same thing. What happens when we tap the smallest bar on this end versus the longest bar on this end? We hear a high pitch from the small bar, we hear a low pitch from the long bar, or even relate it to different orchestra instruments. In general, the smaller the instrument, the higher the pitch it plays, and the larger the instrument, the lower the pitch it plays. Next, I'm going to ask my students what they actually see on the boomwhackers themselves. So obviously, they're going to notice right away that the boomwhackers are different colors, and that's going to make it very easy for them to play their first song. But also, they're going to notice on the different stickers that they have both a letter name and what we call a solfege pitch name. So you don't have to go into super deep discussion on this unless you're ready to do that. But it could be as simple as saying there are 7 letters in the music alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that all instruments learn how to play, and so the boomwhackers are just the same. Also, when we sing different pitches, we give them solfege names, and you will also see those labeled on the boomwhackers: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Next, I'm going to show them different ways that the boomwhacker can be played, including many different surfaces, and ask them to pick which one they like sounding the best. So what happens when they hear it tap like a hard chair surface versus their hand versus different parts of the body or a softer surface? In general, I don't really mind if they want to experiment different ways to play it, as long as someone is not getting hurt or bruised by it. Now, the final question is going to be a bonus question for the students. So remember, just a moment ago, you heard me play the long red one, making a low pitch, and the shorter purple one, making a higher pitch. But, do you think there is anything that I could possibly do to make one of them sound different? And here is where you're going to introduce to them what's called the octavator cap. If you buy pretty much the Boomwhackers from anywhere, they're going to come with at least a few of these in the set. So before I just attach this to the end of the Boomwhacker, I want my students to make a prediction of how they think the sound may or may not change when I attach it to the end. Okay? Oh, they may guess different things. It's going to sound exactly the same. It's going to sound higher, lower, etc. So once I get it on, I compare the sound now. So what we find is that the octavator cap actually closes off one end, meaning the air now has to travel further, and this is going to create a lower pitch. Now, this is a great opportunity to actually have a science lesson about sound waves. And so if you have something like a whiteboard or just a piece of paper that you can draw it on, you can actually help the students visualize what sound waves look like when they're moving very slowly versus moving really quickly. And we want to be sure to teach them this very important word called vibrations. That is how the instrument produces its sound. Now that we've finished our discussion about how the Boomwhackers are played and how they produce their sounds, and my students are just itching to get their hands on them, am I ready to just start passing out these plastic swords? No, I am not, because it's very important before children begin playing these to lay down some very specific ground rules. I only give 3 ground rules that they need to follow. First, we treat the Boomwhackers respectfully, just like any other instrument. Second, if we tap on bodies, we only tap on our own body, not someone else's. And third, we watch for the teacher's signal about when to start or stop playing. What I said at the beginning of the video is still true, that these Boomwhackers are really hard to damage no matter how hard you hit them. But at the same time, I want the students to understand that they are still to be played respectfully, because what I don't want them is being really rough with them and then thinking later on that they can treat a different type of instrument that way, because it very likely will get damaged or broken. And just as a side note, because I do teach a lot of homeschool kids, if you are a parent and you want your kids at home to own a set of these, please don't put them in the same area that you keep your toys, okay? I own lots of instruments in my home, and I never just leave them sitting out where my kids are tempted to play with them like they're toys, because they still are musical instruments. Now, these poor children have been waiting so long. They've listened to the discussion about the science of Boomwhackers, and they've listened very carefully to my ground rules. So when I'm finally ready to start passing them out, is it okay to just jump right into learning our first song together? Of course, that's fine. And thanks to things like the internet, things like YouTube videos, there are so many good resources out there that make it very easy for the teacher to begin teaching their first song. So I will definitely be sure to put some of those links in the video description if you want to check those out. Now, if you're not feeling quite ready to just jump in and teach the first song, there are a couple of activities that I would recommend, especially if you're teaching these with very young children. And those 2 things would be steady beat activities and rhythm pattern echoing. If you do want to have the kids play a steady beat along with you to practice, I would personally recommend using something entirely different sounding than the Boomwhackers. For example, a drum works really great, because if you're also using a Boomwhacker while a bunch of kids are playing the Boomwhackers, it's going to be really hard for their ears to pick out that steady beat sound. Versus if I play it on the drum, then my sound is really going to stand out above the noise of the crowd. If you're wanting to try echoing different rhythm patterns, then this is where it really comes in handy to either call out the different color names or the letter names that you've assigned them. So here's an example. I might say red, red, green, green, green. And those students who have these colors would have to echo red, red, green, green, green. Or I can also assign the letter names to them and say C, C, F, 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 C, One more idea, and this is how you can kind of turn it into become a game, is give them a short melodic pattern to play, but don't tell them what song it actually comes from. See if they can listen to the pitches being played and then guess. So I've told my students to play C, C, G, G, A, G. They're going to listen and see if they can guess the melody. C, C, G, G, A, G. Oh, twinkle, twinkle, little star. Okay, so you can make it a game if you want to. Now, if you really want to know what is my very favorite song that I like to start out with young kids playing, where all set of 8 Boomwhackers get to play during the song, you're going to have to check in the video description and find it below. And while you're there, please be sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and be sure to check out morningbasketmusic.com, where I have a whole variety of free printables, lessons for homeschoolers, and more music teaching resources. Until next time, happy music making.